We're back, baby. The Lions. We're into the Lions' den with Jack Campbell and Brad Holmes.
Oh, okay. You're running out of impersonations. What was that?
I don't know.
It was all right. It was good.
I appreciate it. But yeah, we're on to the Lions now. And quick redirect. And we got Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. Really excited for this group. Excited for what they did in the draft. We're going to talk about their first 5 picks that they had. And starting off with number 1, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. What were some of your thoughts about him?
He was second round pick. Oh, no. Goddamn, he was first round.
We'll start over.
Yeah,
we'll start over. Let's start over.
All right.
On speed.
He was before Jack Campbell. Yeah. God dang sorry.
All right.
Oh, God. This isn't CBS. We don't have a fucking unlimited budget.
All right, let's go. Do it again.
Speed, right?
Well, you wanted it quick, so that was the first segment.
Well, you said that.
Yeah. Oh, son of a bitch.
The outtakes. Remember those days when we had outtakes and bloopers and shit?
Oh, yeah. We should do that.
Yeah.
We should, after a couple of months here, whatever we do, we should have outtakes. So save them.
Oh, God.
We're saving everything.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you're good.
Everything's gold.
Yeah, all those dirty jokes you made, you sick.
All right, here we go. 3, 2.
Welcome back to Sims Complete podcast / YouTube channel / Sketchafaro production over here with Joey Lasagna in the background. We're rolling here, reviewing the draft.
Right.
And now,
Draft and teams.
back to the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, did you know it was pronounced that way?
No, I did
Detroit?
not.
Yeah.
No, and I'll never say it in my life. So
Okay.
I'm not
All
worried
right,
about
cool.
it.
I'm just saying. Well, it's Louisville.
That was good.
Louisville, and Detroit.
Well,
It's
what
actually
is-
Detroit.
What it's telling me that you actually paid attention every once in a while in school. So I'm glad
Absolutely,
that-
absolutely. My report card said the exact same thing all the time.
What?
Pleasure to teach. Wish he did his homework. Yeah. So I'm still working on that.
All right.
So first round draft pick for Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. What are your first thoughts on their first pick?
Well, I was like shocked when it happened.
You were.
Yes, I was like, dang, I didn't expect that. I was expecting a defensive lineman, something like that.
Yeah.
Or in that position maybe, or a corner. But once I sat down and started, I'm not always going to be positive about everything here, but I'm positive about that because they have a thought of how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So he's the running. Who is he? Where did Dan Campbell coach before he came to the Detroit Lions? The New Orleans Saints. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton was the head coach. Run the football, be tough. The Lions have a good offensive line. They had Alvin Kamara down there, and Jahmyr Gibbs is close to that. He's maybe not that guy, but he's, I think, very shifty. When he gets in the open field, he can go for 80 yards and a touchdown. He can catch the football, and I think that's what they see. So you put Dan Campbell, what he's learned, where he grew up, he's a tight end. This kind of makes sense to a really good offense that's going to open it up more.
And I think it makes sense after the fact of the trade with the Eagles, sending DeAndre Swift over there to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now people understand a little bit more of why they were attracted to Gibbs in this situation.
Right.
And maybe in this situation for them, they just saw best player that was available on the board to them at that moment. They thought it was Jahmyr Gibbs. Or they're just thinking, you know what, we're just going to play physical football and we want a guy that can run the football and do some things as an offensive weapon.
They've got a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
Really good. And I think this was the plan all along. Because if he's the best guy, the reaction in their draft room wouldn't have been as crazy as it was.
Yeah, it was.
So this has been the plan. They're sitting on it. They see it with their football team. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, he didn't get a head job just came back. That is huge. Now you got the passing game, which is good, and you've elevated the running game and the passing game to the running backs too. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal. Now they get another first-round draft pick. So they had 2 first-rounders, and now Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa. And you had an interesting thought too with the relation as far as Jack Campbell and who in the Lions organization.
Well, many things. One, middle of the defense, big guy, can help be a run stopper, but good in the pass game. In other words, he's going to know how to read the quarterback and routes and get in the right spots in the middle of the field. I think that's really important. And he's a communicator. Every defense needs a captain, the guy that can, get everybody in the right position and maybe check the audibles, things like that. And I'm sure this is a big deal for Aaron Glenn. But Chris Spielman, the CEO of the Detroit Lions, one of the best middle linebackers I ever watched. I mean, smart, really athletic, everything like that. And to think that he didn't give an opinion on this.
You think he had a little impact on them on them picking Jack Campbell?
If Chris Spielman came to me and started wanting to talk about linebackers, I'd go, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, one, he's a student of the game. He loves it, whatever. He's followed it his whole life. I liked him when he was on TV. He could break it down, talking about defenses and linebacker play. So I'd be shocked if he didn't have something to say in this pick.
Yeah, and some people think that that's a little too high for Jack Campbell where he went in the draft. Doesn't really matter. The Lions valued him extremely high. They took him. They needed an addition right there to kind of bring a centerfold to that defense that's been struggling the past few years. But with him now solidifying more of that interior part of the defense, gives them a little bit more options going forward as far as getting their defense organized and being a little bit more physical going forward.
Yeah,
another Iowa football player. Iowa, Pittsburgh, Georgia, obviously, Alabama. I mean, Michigan. All these schools, it's Illinois. The SEC and the Big Ten, I think, were just super impressive with how many good football players that they had.
Well, the numbers were off the chart about both of them. But, just talk about this Iowa. Here we got Jack Campbell in the middle of the defense. He's 6'5". He's more athletic than everybody gives credit for. Mm-hmm. But Iowa, between all the offensive linemen, really the interior of the offense and the defense is what I've been told, and I believe from somebody that really knows, just goes, look, they scrimmage every day. It's like, let's line up and get it done. And so you kind of have to evaluate that these guys are really well trained, and we've seen so many kids come out of there. And while you're right, what a lot of good big-time NFL players they put out.
And we're going right back to them, right, with their second-round pick here, Sam LaPorta, the tight end from Iowa.
I love it.
And it's a very good pick. And it's tough to evaluate Sam, right, in his film, maybe to the same degree of some other tight ends, right, in the class, just because of the fact that Iowa's not really a very explosive offense. It's actually one of the poorer offenses in the Big Ten. But is a guy that is extremely talented, extremely versatile.
Yep.
And I think, again, another good weapon for Ben Johnson to include with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jamison Williams when he returns back from his hiatus.
I love Sam LaPorta coming out.
Yeah.
I did. I wrote a lot of good stuff about him. I would have taken him. I had him as a second tight end right behind Dalton Kincaid.
Oh, so he was your number 2 on your
He was
board.
my number 2.
Okay.
I got it. I'm reading my stuff because it's been a while, and I probably made these notes back in early February. Solid run blocker. He's really good after the catch. Got a little more shake than everybody realizes. I like that. Good hands. And again, there he is at Iowa. So, he's in the middle of that scrum every day in practice.
Definitely.
So we know he's tough and all that, and he just fits what the Detroit Lions are all about.
Yeah, and, I think people kind of looking for that next kind of like George Kittle type of player too, where maybe a little undervalued statistically in college football, but get him on the NFL football field where we can be a little bit more aggressive with getting him the ball. He's a different football player. And, with him, faster player too than I think a lot of people realize. I think what did he run his 40 into the top?
He was a 4.6, legit.
He was a 4.6 guy. Yeah. So like he's moving, for a big body. So I think that's a very important piece for Ben Johnson, who we think is one of the better offensive minds in the NFL right now at the moment. Going back to the second round now, Brian Branch, safety, Alabama. Thought this was an awesome pick by the Detroit Lions. I mean, we're talking about a guy that has experience at corner, slot, nickel, and safety. So a ton of versatility, a Coach Saban, guy that has been, as far as anybody that comes out of Alabama defensively, their football IQ is extremely high. If you've been playing substantial downs there, you know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Well, especially if you're in the secondary. Because that's Nick Saban's, that's his baby. And he's still coaching them, just like he's a position coach. He's got his hands all over it. So think about what Detroit did. We got a tight end and a running back here. Now let's get a linebacker and safety. So they're taking care of the middle of their offense and defense.
Yeah.
And Dan Campbell learned from Sean Payton, all what they do down there. I think he believes in that. He's, of course, an ex-tight end. And by and large, probably the biggest head coach in the NFL, would you think?
I guess
or the most jacked or whatever. But, I think all that is translating to what we see in Detroit, and it's So far, so good. Last year was great. And I think this is really good picks by them. It's going to fit their football team.
It is, and we haven't even gotten really to our main thing that we did a week ago, or a few weeks ago, excuse me. Hendon Hooker, round 3. I mean, what a steal for them to be able to get a player of this caliber this late in the draft, right? Round 3, we thought, again, Hendon Hooker, we wouldn't have been surprised if he was a late first-round pick, early second-rounder. He slips to the 3rd round.
Right.
Detroit Lions pick him up, and we believe in Jared Goff. We think that he's a good football player, right? We're not saying he's one of the top 5 NFL quarterbacks in the NFL, but we know that he is a good football player. He's got great experience. He's been coached extremely well from Sean McVay now to Ben Johnson. Has been revitalized a little bit as far as being a little bit of a viewed as a tougher football player now with Dan Campbell. And I think really for them, it puts them in a great position to add depth to the most important position on the field and to protect their team in case something happens to Jared, that they have a great quarterback backing him up in Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, it's insurance, man. If you think you got a good team, which they think they do, this is the year that we're all expecting them to even go forward better than they did last year. And that's what they did, getting Hendon Hooker. Jared Goff, I got to say this. I've been hard on him in his career.
Yeah.
And even 2 years ago.
I think everybody has been.
Yeah, but man, I ate it. I even said it, look, Jared Goff, he told me where to go. And he showed me on the field. I thought his play was really good. I didn't see games where it just fell apart for him last year. Mm-hmm. I thought he was solid the whole year. And his throwing, by far, do you agree? Yeah. It was the best I've seen him throw the football physically in his whole career. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to say, but I mean, Jared Goff threw the ball better last year at the end of the season than Aaron Rodgers did in that game, right?
It took him a little while to get used to the weather up there.
It did. I know, but at the end of the day, towards the end of the game there, he made a lot of clutch football throws aggressively down the field. And there's just something about just the Detroit Lions and their juice right now that, like, as a football fan, I get extremely excited about, right? And I look forward to watching the Lions play, which I don't think a lot of us at home have really ever said in a long, long time.
I mean, they're turning into you must watch football, really. Yeah. And you talk about that Green Bay game, a couple of things they showed. Their toughness and their, what's the word for it, ingenuity, or the play calling at the end of the game for the defense and offense was outstanding.
Outstanding.
And that's sticking with me during this offseason.
It is. And that's where it's very exciting with a guy like Ben Johnson, with a guy like Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell. I mean, it's a really good crew of guys that have really just, it's unbelievable how much they've revitalized. And it just shows you how important the aspect of coaching and being organized, and then instilling a level of toughness into your entire football team.
Well, I don't know who's doing Hard Knocks this year in the NFL, but I know they're going to have it's going to be a tough act to follow. Because I thought Detroit's Hard Knocks was maybe the best I've seen.
It's been the best in a long time.
Yeah,
it really has. So and that's credit really to just Dan and them and just being their genuine selves. Right? There is no putting on a face for the media. They are who they are, and I love it.
My last thing, I think I was shocked by the Lions, what they did early, but I think everybody kind of in the business, once you step away from it and think about it, we all kind of have the same thing. Ooh, it might be really good. This running back thing, don't take them in the first round. The NFL is about right now. So that running back is a guy that can change your football team right away. And we had 2 picked this year, and I think in the future, teams are not going to be afraid like they were in the past. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll look forward to seeing how that continues to play out. But excited though for the Lions and for everyone in Detroit. And subscribe. We'll be back with another team breaking them down here.